Hey, welcome to the channel. This is MattCam89, and today's Pass or Play game of the week is this right here. Ken Griffey Jr.'s Major League Baseball, exclusive to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and released in March of 1994, developed by Software Creations and published by Nintendo. And apparently this game came with a promotional Ken Griffey Jr. baseball card, which I do not have. I just own the loose card. If you happen to have that promotional baseball card, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section, and maybe you can post it somewhere we can see what it looked like. This game, for a baseball game, especially for its time, it was pretty feature rich. I would consider it an arcade simulation baseball game. At the time, it was featuring rosters and stats based on the 1993 season, and nearly every team featured their stadium. The only thing missing for this game was actually the player name. So they had the rights to the MLB, but they didn't have the rights to the Major League Baseball Players Association. So with the exception of Ken Griffey Jr., everybody else had made up names. But the cool thing was they were based on the actual players. So they looked like what the players would look like. They had the stats from that 1993 season. And the game allowed you to edit these rosters. So if you had some pretty good knowledge of that 1993 roster, you could easily just go in there manually and adjust those rosters with their actual names. And my uncle, who is a huge baseball fan, I remember as a kid watching him play, he would actually know who all the players were. I didn't know at the time. I was pretty young, and although I enjoyed baseball, I didn't know or have the knowledge that he had of these players. So it was always fun watching him and him telling me who that player was supposed to be in real life. Just by looking at the stats and what they look like and what their fake name was. Every team had kind of a little theme. So if you were the Boston Red Sox, for example, a lot of the player names would be based on some of the founding fathers and things of that nature. So it was pretty cool. They did what they could. Nintendo at the time owned the Seattle Mariners. Which I believe they owned it not that long ago. They sold their stake in it not that long ago. So that's why they could get Ken Griffey Jr. And of course, Ken Griffey Jr. being on the cover and his name on it, he's obviously going to be in the game. There was one thing that I did read up about. Apparently, the game was known to have its data erased. So if you went through all that painstaking process of naming all the players to get kind of that authentic feel, just for the game to just erase on you, they did have a battery obviously in here, because like I said, it was a pretty feature rich game. Featured a single player and two player mode. You could play a full or an abbreviated season where your progress and stats would save. And if you wanted some extra fun, there was also a home run derby mode. So if you didn't want to do a singles or a two-player match or a full season, you can just a few minutes spend in home run derby, see if you could beat Ken Griffey Jr. The game itself featured great music and sound effects. It's a game that never takes itself too serious, in my opinion. It's a great mix of being an arcade feel, but also have enough of a simulation feel to it with the amount of features that the game had, especially for the time. In my opinion, the game controls very well, and never at any point do I ever feel like I missed a play or I made a mistake because of the controls. If I missed a play, it's because I mistimed it. I didn't, get there fast enough. It was always my mistake or my fault of me missing a play and things of that nature. Another cool feature is at the end of each game, there'd be like a recap mode where it would show like the newspaper, like kind of like the next day, and it would have the stats, and there'd be some kind of comment based on how you played. Sometimes it'd be something funny. So as a kid, I always enjoyed, um, you know, even if I got my butt kicked, I always enjoyed looking at that newspaper after each match and seeing what the comments were going to be, what the stats were, what player played well and which ones didn't, things of that nature. Um, I don't play a lot of baseball games, but when I typically get an itch to play a baseball game, this is the game that I play. Um, it's a great baseball game, in my opinion. I know for the time it didn't get the greatest of reviews. It kind of got a mixed reception. But as a little kid, I wasn't looking at that stuff. I was looking for what was fun to play, especially at that time. And as an adult, I still find that this is an enjoyable, fun game to play. Again, doesn't take itself extremely serious, but it has enough depth, I think, to even satisfy those that are looking for a more simulation type game. As a kid, I owned a Sega Genesis as well, and on there I had a baseball game called Hardball. Not a bad game, but as much as I loved my Sega Genesis, when I wanted to play a baseball game and have a lot of fun, this is the game that I always went to as a kid. It's the game that I go to even as an adult. I prefer to play this over the new iterations of the MLB shows and things of that nature. Although those are great games, sometimes I'm just looking for something that's a little bit faster pace, as far as how long it's going to take me to finish a game and just the overall enjoyability of it. And this is a game that I have a lot of fun with it. And even though, like I said, it got mixed reviews, it did sell over a million copies at the end of the day. And, in today's market, that's really low. But back then, that was pretty good. I believe this is a game that is worth playing today. So it gets a score of play for this week's Player Pass video game of the week. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your opinions and comments below. Please like and share, and also subscribe if you're not subscribed already, to see what next week is going to bring from my collection. Maybe it'll be a game that I don't recommend. I think I've done a couple where I've recommended, so maybe I'll pull something that I don't really enjoy. We'll see. And as always, thank you, and God bless.